Lieutenant Danny Harper stared at his screen and frowned. The signal made no sense. He had been monitoring deep space communications for 3 years now, and he knew what normal looked like. This was not normal. The pattern repeated every 47 seconds. It was weak, breaking apart as it traveled through space, but it was definitely there. Danny leaned closer to his console and adjusted the filters. The signal became slightly clearer. "Dr. Grant, you need to see this," he said. Dr. Lisa Grant walked over from her desk. She was the lead xenolinguist on the orbital station, which meant she studied alien languages. She had been drinking coffee and reading reports. But the tone in Danny's voice made her put everything down. "What have you got?" she asked. Danny played the signal again. Lisa listened carefully. Her eyes went wide. "That's a distress call," she said. "Play it again." Danny played it 3 more times. Lisa pulled up a chair and started working on her own terminal. Her fingers flew across the keyboard as she ran the signal through translation programs. "It's old technology," Lisa said. "Really old. Whoever sent this is using equipment that most species stopped using decades ago. Can you translate it?" Danny asked. "Give me 10 minutes, Lisa replied. It took her 15. But when she finished, her face had gone pale. She called up the station commander immediately. Admiral Peter Collins arrived in the communications room within 5 minutes. He was a tall man with gray hair and sharp eyes that missed nothing. He had commanded the orbital station for 6 years and had seen many strange things. But the look on Lisa's face told him this was different. "Report," he said. Lisa played the translated message. A synthetic voice spoke in clear English, though the words came from an alien language. "This is the Varan homeworld. We are under attack. The Krell Dominion has entered our system with military forces. Our defenses have fallen. Our cities are burning. We are a peaceful people. We have no weapons capable of fighting them. Please. Anyone who receives this message. We need help. We are dying. Please help us." The message ended. Then it started again. The same words. The same desperate plea. "How old is this?" Admiral Collins asked. 23 days, Danny said. "Based on the signal degradation and the distance, it was sent 23 days ago." 23 days, the Admiral repeated quietly. He looked at Lisa. "The Varans. What do we know about them?" Lisa pulled up a file. "Not much. They're part of the galactic community, but they keep to themselves. Scientists mostly. Artists. They've shared some technology with other species. Medical advances, agricultural techniques. They're known for being peaceful." "And the Krell?" the Admiral asked. Lisa's expression darkened. "The Krell Dominion is an empire. They've been expanding for the past century. They take what they want. Other species stay out of their way because fighting them means war, and the Krell don't stop until they win." Admiral Collins walked to the window. Earth floated below them, blue and green and beautiful. He had spent 40 years in the military. He had seen war. He had seen what happened when good people did nothing. "Have the Varans received any response to their distress call?" he asked. "I checked the galactic networks," Danny said. "No one has responded." The Galactic Council issued a statement saying it was an internal matter. "An internal matter," the Admiral said. "They're calling genocide an internal matter." He turned back to face them. "Send this to Earth Command. Send it to the President. Send it to everyone who needs to see it." Lisa nodded and started transmitting. Within an hour, every important person on Earth had heard the Varan distress call. Within 2 hours, emergency meetings had started. Commander Kyle Bennett sat in one of those meetings. He was young for his rank, only 35, but he had proven himself capable. He listened as politicians and generals argued about what to do. "We can't interfere," one general said. "The Galactic Council has made it clear that humanity should not get involved in established power structures. We've only been part of the galactic community for 20 years. We're still learning the rules." "The rules say we should let innocent people die?" Kyle asked. "The rules say we should be careful," another politician said. "If we anger the Krell Dominion, they might come after us next." Earth is not ready for that kind of war. So we do nothing? Kyle said. We receive a distress call and we ignore it because we're afraid? It's not about fear, the general said. It's about being smart. It's about being human, Kyle replied. We don't abandon people who need help. That's not who we are. The arguments went back and forth for hours. But slowly, opinions started to shift. More people spoke up, agreeing with Kyle. Earth had always valued helping others. Yes, there were risks. Yes, there could be consequences. But doing nothing had consequences too. Finally, the president made a decision. We're going to help them. Prepare a rescue fleet. The room erupted in discussion. The president held up her hand for silence. I know the risks, she said. But I also know that if we ignore this, we'll regret it for the rest of our lives. We'll send ships, we'll send aid, and we'll send a message to the galaxy that humanity stands for something more than just survival. Captain Nicole Stevens received her orders that evening. She was in her quarters aboard the destroyer Phoenix when the message came through. She read it twice to make sure she understood. She was being given command of the rescue mission. 5 ships. Her ship, the Phoenix, would lead them. Their destination was the Varan homeworld. Their mission was to stop the Krell and save as many Varans as possible. Nicole stood and looked out her window at the stars. She had been in the military for 15 years. She had commanded the Phoenix for 3. She knew what this mission meant. She knew the dangers. But she also knew it was the right thing to do. She called her senior officers to the bridge. Lieutenant Greg Walsh arrived first. He was her second in command. Steady and reliable. Lieutenant Megan Price came next, her tactical mind already working on strategies. Dr. Andrew Carter, the medical officer, arrived last, already planning for casualties. We have our orders, Nicole said. She told them about the mission. Greg whistled softly. That's a long way from home, and the Krell won't be happy to see us, Megan added. No, they won't, Nicole agreed. But the Varans sent a distress call, and no one else answered. We're going to answer it. When do we leave? Dr. Carter asked. 12 hours, Nicole said. Get the crew ready. This is going to be dangerous, and everyone needs to understand what we're doing and why. The officers nodded and left to prepare. Nicole stayed on the bridge, looking at the star charts. The Varan system was far away. Getting there would take weeks, and once they arrived, they would be facing an enemy that had already destroyed the Varan defenses. But humanity had decided to help. That decision would change everything. In the communications room of the orbital station, Lisa Grant worked on one final task. She composed a message in the Varan language. It was simple and direct. This is Earth. We received your distress call. Help is coming. Hold on. She transmitted it toward the Varan homeworld and hoped someone was still alive to receive it. Somewhere, in the darkness of space, traveling at the speed of light, a message of hope began its journey. The rescue fleet would follow soon after. The 5 ships left Earth orbit 3 days after the decision was made. Captain Nicole Stevens watched from the bridge of the Phoenix as Earth grew smaller behind them. She had said goodbye to no one. There had been no time. And besides, she preferred to focus on the mission ahead. All ships reporting ready, Lieutenant Greg Walsh said from his station. We're at full power. Set course for the Varan system, Nicole ordered. Maximum speed. The journey would take 18 days. 18 days to cross the vast distance between Earth and the Varan homeworld. 18 days during which anything could happen. Nicole spent the first few days reviewing everything they knew about the Varans and the Krell. It was not much. The Varans had been part of the galactic community for over 200 years. But they kept to themselves. They shared scientific knowledge freely but rarely engaged in politics or trade. The Krell Dominion was different. They had built an empire through conquest. They had powerful weapons and large fleets. They took what they wanted and destroyed anyone who resisted. Other species feared them. Dr. Andrew Carter joined Nicole in her ready room on the 4th day. He brought reports about Varan biology. They're fragile, he said, spreading images across the table. Their home planet has lower gravity than Earth. Their bones are lighter. Their skin is permeable, which means they need specific atmospheric conditions. Can we treat them if they're injured? Nicole asked. Yes. But it will be complicated, Andrew said. I've been working with the medical staff. We're preparing special treatment areas with the right atmosphere mix. Good, Nicole said. We might need that. On the 6th day, they encountered their first complication. A Galactic Council monitoring station detected their fleet and sent a message requesting they stop. Nicole went to the communications room. The screen showed an alien creature with scales and multiple eyes. It identified itself as Zephyros, a council representative. Human vessels, you are traveling toward restricted space, Zephyros said. Please state your intentions. We're responding to a distress call, Nicole replied. The Varan homeworld requested assistance. Zephyros made a sound that might have been a sigh. The situation in the Varan system has been classified as an internal regional matter. The council has decided not to intervene. Then it's good we're not the council, Nicole said. Captain Stevens, I must advise you to turn back, Zephyros said. The Krell Dominion has claimed the Varan system under their right of conquest. If you interfere, you will be violating established protocols. The Krell may view this as an act of war. People are dying, Nicole said. We received a distress call asking for help. We're going to help. You are one species among thousands, Zephyros said. The Krell Dominion has been expanding for over a century. They have resources you cannot imagine. If you fight them, you will lose. Maybe, Nicole said. But we're still going. Zephyros stared at her for a long moment. Your species is very young in galactic terms. You do not understand how things work. Maybe we understand better than you think, Nicole replied. We understand that when someone asks for help, you help them. That's pretty simple. It is not simple at all, Zephyros said. But I can see you will not be persuaded. I will note your intentions in my report. Good luck, Captain Stevens. You will need it. The transmission ended. Greg Walsh looked at Nicole with concern. That could have gone better, he said. Could have gone worse too, Nicole replied. He could have tried to stop us. Why didn't he? Greg asked. Because he knows he can't, Lieutenant Megan Price said from her station. The Council has no real authority over us. We're not violating any laws. We're just doing something they think is stupid. The fleet continued on its course. The days passed slowly. The crew trained constantly, running battle simulations and emergency drills. They knew they would be outnumbered. The question was, by how much? Ryan Brooks, the chief engineer, spent his time making modifications to the ships. He was a practical man who believed in being prepared for the worst. The Krell ships are bigger than ours, he told Nicole on the 10th day. They have more firepower. But bigger also means slower. We can use that, Megan said. She had been working on tactical plans. If we're faster, we can control the engagement. Maybe, Ryan said. But we need to be smarter too. I've been looking at our weapons systems. The Krell use heavy armor. Our standard weapons might not penetrate it easily. What do you suggest? Nicole asked. Ryan showed them diagrams. I can modify our missiles to target specific weak points. Engineering sections, power conduits, sensor arrays. We might not be able to destroy their ships quickly, but we can disable them. Do it, Nicole ordered. On the 14th day, they received new information. Danny Harper had managed to intercept Krell communications. The messages were encrypted, but Earth's computers were good at breaking codes. There are 12 Krell ships in the Varan system, Danny reported. They've established a blockade around the planet. They're not letting anyone in or out. 12 ships, Greg said quietly. We have 5. 12 that we know about, Megan corrected. There could be more. Nicole studied the tactical display. 12 against 5. Those were not good odds, but they had come too far to turn back now. What about the Varans? She asked. Any communication from the surface? Some, Danny said. But it's fragmented. The Krell are jamming most transmissions. What we can hear suggests the planet is still resisting. But they're running out of time. Dr. Carter had been listening quietly. Now he spoke up. If the Krell are blockading the planet, they might be preparing for a ground invasion. Or worse. Worse? Greg asked. Orbital bombardment, Andrew said. If they can't control the planet, they might just destroy it. The bridge went silent. The thought of an entire world being destroyed was almost too terrible to consider. Then we need to get there fast, Nicole said. Ryan, I need every bit of speed you can give me. You'll have it, Ryan promised. The final days of the journey passed in tense preparation. The crew knew what they were facing. Many of them were afraid, though they tried not to show it. But fear and duty could coexist, and these men and women had chosen to serve. Pilot Jake Morrison led the fighter squadron through countless drills. He was the best pilot in the fleet, and he knew his small fighters would be crucial in the coming battle. We're faster than anything the Krell have, he told his pilots. That's our advantage. We get in, we hit our targets, and we get out before they can respond. And if they do respond? One of the younger pilots asked. Then we move faster, Jake said simply. On the 18th day, they reached the edge of the Varan system. Long-range sensors immediately detected the Krell blockade. 12 ships, just as the intelligence had said. They were massive vessels, each one 3 times the size of the Phoenix. Nicole stood on the bridge and watched the sensor data come in. Behind those 12 ships was the Varan homeworld. Scans showed damage on the surface. Fires. Destroyed cities. But there were still life signs, millions of them. Captain, the Krell have detected us, Danny reported. They're hailing us. Put them on screen, Nicole said. The screen showed a Krell commander. He had thick armor plating and multiple arms. His eyes were cold and calculating. Human vessels, you are entering Krell Dominion space, he said. Identify yourselves. I am Captain Nicole Stevens of Earth. We're here to assist the Varans. The Krell commander made a sound that might have been laughter. The Varans are under Krell control. There is nothing to assist. Leave now, and we will not destroy you. We're not leaving, Nicole said. The Krell commander studied her for a moment. You have 5 small ships. We have 12 warships. Do you truly wish to fight? We wish for you to stop attacking the Varans, Nicole said. But if we have to fight, we will. You are either very brave or very stupid, the Krell commander said. I am Commander Vaxor. I have conquered 17 systems. I have destroyed fleets larger than yours. Leave now, human. While you still can. No, Nicole said simply. Vaxor's expression hardened. Then you will die. All of you. And when we are finished with you, we will finish with the Varans. No one will remember either of you. The transmission ended. Nicole looked at her crew. They were watching her, waiting for orders. All ships, battle stations, she said. Prepare to engage. The alarms began to sound throughout the fleet. Humanity was going to war. The Krell ships moved into attack formation. They were confident. Why wouldn't they be? 12 against 5, larger ships against smaller ones. An experienced military empire against a species that had barely left its home system. Captain Nicole Stevens watched them on the tactical display. Commander Vaxor was arranging his ships in a standard blockade pattern. It was textbook military strategy, the kind taught in every academy in the galaxy. That was his first mistake. Megan, are we ready? Nicole asked. Lieutenant Megan Price checked her console. All weapons online. Fighters ready to launch. Defensive systems at full power. Ryan, how are the engines? Running hot. Chief Engineer Ryan Brooks replied from the engine room. But they'll hold. Ryan Brooks. Greg, signal the other ships. Tell them to follow our lead and stay flexible. Lieutenant Greg Walsh sent the message. The 4 other human ships acknowledged immediately. They trusted Nicole. They had trained for this. The Krell opened fire first. Massive energy weapons lit up space as they targeted the human fleet. The shots were powerful enough to destroy a ship with a single hit, but they had to hit first. Evasive maneuvers, Nicole ordered. The Phoenix twisted and dove, moving in ways the Krell did not expect. The other human ships did the same. The Krell weapons missed, their shots passing through empty space where the human ships had been moments before. Return fire, Nicole said. Target their sensor arrays. The human ships fired. Their weapons were smaller than the Krell guns, but they were precise. Missiles streaked across space, guided by advanced targeting computers. They struck 3 Krell ships, destroying their external sensors. On the bridge of his flagship, Commander Vaxor snarled in frustration. What are they doing? Why are they moving like that? His tactical officer had no answer. The human ships were not fighting like any enemy they had faced before. They moved unpredictably, changing direction without warning. They did not stay still long enough to be targeted effectively. All ships, concentrate fire on the lead human vessel, Vaxor ordered. 6 Krell ships focused their weapons on the Phoenix. Nicole saw it coming. Jake, you're up, she said. Pilot Jake Morrison had been waiting for this moment. Fighter Squadron, launch. 20 small fighters burst from the human ships. They were tiny compared to the massive Krell warships, so small that the Krell targeting systems had trouble tracking them. The fighters swarmed around the Krell ships like angry insects. They were too fast, too small, too many. The Krell tried to shoot them down, but the fighters dodged and weaved, making impossible turns that would have killed any Krell pilot. Humans from Earth had evolved in high gravity. Their bodies could handle forces that would crush most aliens. The fighter pilots used this advantage, pushing their ships to the limit. Jake led his squadron straight at the nearest Krell warship. Follow my lead, target the engine ports. The fighters dove under the massive ship. Krell weapons fire filled the space around them. But the pilots were too skilled. They had trained for years in simulators, studying every type of alien ship design. Fire, Jake ordered. 20 fighters unleashed their missiles at point-blank range. The missiles struck the Krell ship's engines. Explosions rippled across the hull. The ship's power flickered and died. 1 Krell ship, disabled. On the Phoenix, Megan was coordinating the larger battle. Captain, 3 Krell ships are breaking formation to pursue our fighters. Good, Nicole said. That's exactly what we want. Split them up. The human ships moved in 3 different directions, forcing the Krell to divide their forces. The Krell ships were powerful, but they were designed for traditional warfare. They expected enemies to stand and fight, to trade shots until one side fell. Humans did not fight that way. Dr. Andrew Carter was in the medical bay, but he was also monitoring another channel. He had been in contact with the Varan surface, using the confusion of the battle to slip past the Krell jamming. Captain, I'm getting data from the Varans, he said. They're sending us technical information about the Krell ships. What kind of information? Nicole asked. Weak points. The Varans have been studying the Krell blockade for weeks. They know where the ships are vulnerable. Send it to Megan immediately, Nicole ordered. Megan received the data and smiled. The Varans might not be warriors, but they were scientists. They understood how things worked, and they had found the flaws in the Krell design. Captain, the Krell ships have a weakness in their shield generators. If we hit them with a concentrated burst in a specific location, we can overload their entire defensive system. Do it, Nicole said. The human ships changed their attack pattern. Instead of trying to destroy the Krell ships directly, they focused on overwhelming their shields. It was a strategy that required precision, timing, and perfect coordination. The human fleet had both. 3 human ships converged on a single Krell warship. They fired simultaneously, all their weapons targeting the exact same point. The Krell shields held for 3 seconds, then collapsed entirely. Without shields, the Krell ship was vulnerable. Ryan Brooks had modified the human missiles specifically for this moment. They punched through the Krell armor and destroyed critical systems inside the ship. Another Krell ship went dark. Commander Vaxor could not believe what he was seeing. His ships were being beaten by an inferior force. It was impossible. It had to be impossible. All ships, close formation, he ordered. Protect each other. Do not let them isolate us. But the Krell ships were too slow. By the time they moved into tighter formation, the human ships had already repositioned. Jake's fighters struck again, this time targeting the communications arrays on 2 more Krell ships. The Krell fleet began to lose coordination. Ships could not communicate effectively. Sensors were damaged. The humans were everywhere and nowhere, striking from unexpected angles and disappearing before the Krell could respond. They fight without honor, Vaxor's tactical officer said. They fight to win, Vaxor replied bitterly. He had a choice to make. He could continue the battle and risk losing more ships, or he could retreat. The Krell Dominion did not accept failure easily. But losing his entire fleet would be worse than retreating. Send a message to High Command, Vaxor said. Tell them we have encountered a new threat. The humans are not what we expected. On the Phoenix, Nicole saw the Krell ships beginning to pull back. They're retreating. Should we pursue? Greg asked. No, Nicole said. Let them go. Our mission is to protect the Varans, not to hunt the Krell. The Krell fleet withdrew from the system, leaving debris and disabled ships behind. The battle had lasted less than 30 minutes, but in that time, the humans had disabled 3 Krell ships and damaged 4 others. The human fleet had taken damage too, but no ships were lost, and casualties were minimal. On the Varan homeworld, millions of beings watched the sky. They had seen the battle. They had seen the humans arrive and fight against impossible odds. They had seen the Krell retreat. Many Varans were crying. They had sent their distress call expecting no response. The galaxy had abandoned them. But these humans, these strangers from a distant world, had come anyway. Jake Morrison brought his fighters back to the Phoenix. His hands were shaking from adrenaline, but he was grinning. That was crazy, he said to his squadron. That was absolutely crazy. We won, one of the other pilots said, sounding surprised. We won, Jake confirmed. On the bridge, Nicole allowed herself a moment of relief. They had done it. Against all odds, they had driven off the Krell and saved the Varans. But the work was not finished. The Varan homeworld was still in crisis. Cities were damaged. People were injured and displaced. The human fleet had won the battle. But now came the harder part. Greg, contact the Varan government, Nicole said. Tell them we're here to help, however we can. The Varan government is gone, Dr. Carter said quietly. The Krell killed most of the leadership in the first days of the attack. Then contact whoever is in charge now, Nicole said. We came here to save these people. Let's do that. The Phoenix moved into orbit around the Varan homeworld. The other ships followed. Below them, a planet full of grateful aliens waited for help, and throughout the galaxy, word was spreading. The humans had fought the Krell and won. The youngest species in the galactic community had done something no one else had been willing to do. They had answered a distress call. On the bridge of his retreating flagship, Commander Vaxor composed a message to the Krell High Command. He chose his words carefully, because admitting defeat was dangerous. But the truth could not be hidden. The humans were different. They fought differently. They thought differently. And they had just proven that the Krell Dominion was not invincible. That message would change everything. The Phoenix descended through the Varan atmosphere carefully. The air was thick with smoke from burning cities. Captain Nicole Stevens watched through the view screen as the devastation became clear. Entire districts had been destroyed. Craters marked where Krell weapons had struck. Buildings lay in ruins. But among the destruction, there were survivors. Millions of them. Crowding into whatever shelter they could find. Find us a landing zone near the largest population center, Nicole ordered. Lieutenant Greg Walsh worked with the sensors. There's a cleared area 2 kilometers from what used to be their capital city. It looks stable enough. The ship landed with a gentle thud. Nicole stood and addressed her crew over the intercom. We're here to help these people. I want medical teams ready to deploy immediately. Engineering teams, prepare to assess critical infrastructure. Everyone else, be ready to provide whatever assistance is needed. Remember, we're guests on their world. Treat them with respect. Dr. Andrew Carter was already organizing his medical staff. Nurse Amy Peterson stood beside him, checking equipment. How bad is it? Amy asked. Bad, Andrew said honestly. We're looking at trauma injuries, radiation exposure, malnutrition. The Krell bombardment lasted for weeks. These people have been through hell. Then let's get to work, Amy said. The medical teams left the ship first, carrying supplies and equipment. They set up field hospitals in the ruins of a park. Within an hour, Varans began arriving. Tentatively at first. Then in larger numbers. The Varans were smaller than humans, with smooth skin that changed color with their emotions. Right now, most of them showed shades of gray and blue, colors that the humans quickly learned meant sadness and fear. But when they saw the humans helping, setting up medical stations and distributing supplies, their colors began to change. Hints of green appeared, which meant hope. Dr. Carter treated his first patient within minutes of setting up. She was a young Varan female, with severe burns on her arms. Through a translator device, she told him what had happened. The Krell bombed our medical facility, she said, her voice weak. I was trying to save the children in the pediatric wing. The building collapsed. Did you get them out? Andrew asked as he worked on her burns. Her color shifted to a deep purple, which meant grief. Some of them. Not all. Andrew felt anger rise in his chest, but he pushed it down. Anger would not help anyone right now. You did your best. That's all anyone can do. He finished treating her burns and moved to the next patient. There were hundreds waiting, maybe thousands. Meanwhile, Ryan Brooks led his engineering team into the city. The Varan infrastructure was in ruins. Power was out across most of the planet. Water systems had failed. Communication networks were down. Where do we even start? One of the engineers asked. Ryan looked at the destruction and made a decision. Water first. People can survive without power, but not without clean water. Find the main treatment facility, and let's see if we can get it running. They found the facility 2 hours later. It had been hit by Krell weapons, but the damage was not as bad as it looked. The main equipment was intact. It just needed power. Can we rig up a temporary generator? Ryan asked his team. We can try. One engineer replied. They worked through the night. The Varans watched them with wonder. These aliens had traveled across the galaxy to help, and now they were working alongside Varan technicians to restore basic services. By morning, water was flowing again in 3 districts. It was not much, but it was a start. Captain Nicole Stevens met with the remaining Varan leadership in what had been a school building. Most of the government was gone, killed in the first days of the attack. The survivors had organized themselves as best they could. The leader who met Nicole was named Kalara. She was an older Varan, her skin showing patches of white that indicated age. She had been a scientist before the war. Now she was trying to hold her people together. Captain Stevens, Kalara said through the translator, we received your message. We did not truly believe anyone would come. We came as fast as we could, Nicole said. I'm sorry we couldn't get here sooner. Kalara's color shifted to warm orange, which meant gratitude. You came at all. That is more than 47 other civilizations did. We sent distress signals to every species we knew. Only you answered. Nicole felt a mix of emotions at that. Pride that humanity had done the right thing, but also sadness that no one else had. How many people did you lose? Nicole asked gently. Kalara's color darkened. Nearly 3 million. Our population was 16 million before the attack. Now we are 13 million, and many are injured or sick. 3 million dead. Nicole tried to imagine that number and could not. It was too large, too terrible. What do you need from us? She asked. Kalara showed her a list. It was overwhelming. Medical supplies, food, shelter materials, power generators, water purification equipment, communication systems. The list went on and on. We'll provide everything we can, Nicole said. And I'll send a message to Earth requesting more supplies. Why? Kalara asked suddenly. Why what? Why are you helping us? Kalara said. Your species is young in the galaxy. You have your own problems. The Krell Dominion might attack you now because you interfered. Yet you came anyway. Why? Nicole thought about how to answer. Finally, she said simply, because you needed help. That's enough. Kalara stared at her for a long moment. Then her color shifted to bright yellow, which the translator indicated meant deep respect. Your species is very different from others we have met, Kalara said. Maybe, Nicole replied. Or maybe we just remember what it's like to need help. Over the next few days, the human fleet worked without rest. Medical teams treated thousands of injured Varans. Engineering teams restored power, water, and communications. Supply ships from the other human vessels distributed food and shelter materials. Lieutenant Megan Price organized security patrols, working with Varan volunteers to maintain order and protect supply distribution points. There was no looting, no violence. The Varans were grateful and organized, even in their suffering. Pilot Jake Morrison led his squadron on reconnaissance flights, mapping the damage and looking for isolated survivor groups. They found small communities that had been cut off from the main population centers and guided rescue teams to them. On the 5th day, something unexpected happened. The Varans organized a gathering in one of the restored parks. Thousands came, filling the open space. They invited the humans to attend. Nicole went with a small group of officers. She was not sure what to expect. When they arrived, the Varans began to sing. It was a traditional song, Kalara explained, one sung at times of great sorrow and great joy. The melody was beautiful and haunting. Then, one by one, the Varans began to change color. The grays and blues faded, replaced by bright greens and yellows and oranges. The entire crowd glowed with warm, grateful colors. They were thanking the humans, not with words, but with their own biology, showing their emotions for all to see. Amy Peterson, standing beside Dr. Carter, started crying. She was not alone. Several humans felt tears on their faces as they watched this display of gratitude. I've never seen anything like this, Amy whispered. Neither have they, Andrew replied. Kalara told me that no other species has ever helped the Varans like this. Most species see them as weak, not worth protecting. That's terrible, Amy said. Yes, Andrew agreed. But it's also why what we're doing matters so much. That evening, Nicole sent her report to Earth. She detailed the battle, the rescue efforts, and the situation on the ground. She requested additional supplies and support. Earth's response came 12 hours later. More ships were already on their way, loaded with everything the Varans needed. The president had addressed the entire planet, explaining what humanity had done and asking for volunteers. Thousands had signed up immediately. Doctors, engineers, teachers, farmers, all willing to travel to the Varan homeworld and help rebuild. But Earth's message also included a warning. The Galactic Council had convened an emergency session. They were not happy about humanity's intervention. Some species were calling for sanctions, others were demanding that humanity withdraw immediately, and the Krell Dominion had formally protested, calling humanity's actions an act of war. Nicole read the warnings and made her decision. She would stay. Her crew would stay. They would continue helping the Varans until the job was done. The galaxy could complain all it wanted. Humanity was not leaving. On the 7th day, long-range sensors detected new ships approaching the system. For a moment, everyone tensed, fearing the Krell had returned. But these were not Krell ships. They were Galactic Council vessels, led by an arbiter named Thessian. Captain Stevens, Thessian's message said, I am coming to investigate the situation in the Varan system. Please prepare to receive my delegation. Nicole looked at Greg. Here we go. Now we face the politics. Think they'll make us leave? Greg asked. They can try, Nicole said. But I didn't come all this way just to abandon these people. Because some bureaucrat says I should. The council ships entered orbit. Arbiter Thessian would arrive soon. bringing with her the full weight of galactic law and politics. But below, on the Varan homeworld, humans continued their work. They treated the sick, rebuilt infrastructure, and gave hope to people who had thought they were forgotten. Whatever happened next, they had already made a difference. And that was something no one could take away. Arbiter Thessian was not what Captain Nicole Stevens expected. The galactic official was tall and elegant, with crystalline skin that reflected light in rainbow patterns. She had been a council arbiter for over a century, and she had seen many conflicts, but she had never seen anything like this. Thessian's shuttle landed near the human base camp. Nicole met her personally, along with Lieutenant Greg Walsh and Dr. Andrew Carter. The arbiter stepped out and looked around at the organized chaos of the rescue operation. Humans and Varans worked side by side, rebuilding structures and distributing supplies. Medical tents dotted the landscape. Children, both human and Varan, played together near the camps despite the language barrier. "This is unexpected," Thessian said. "What did you expect?" Nicole asked. "Occupation. Exploitation. The usual patterns that follow military intervention," Thessian replied honestly. "But I see none of that here." "We didn't come here to exploit anyone," Nicole said. "We came because people needed help." Thessian studied Nicole carefully. "May I tour your operations?" "Of course," Nicole said. They walked through the camp. Thessian observed everything with sharp eyes that missed nothing. She saw Ryan Brooks teaching Varan engineers how to repair their power grid using human technology. She saw Amy Peterson holding a Varan child while Dr. Carter treated the child's mother. She saw Jake Morrison's pilots helping clear debris from a collapsed building. Everywhere she looked, humans were working without asking for anything in return. "Where are your resource extraction operations?" Thessian asked. "We don't have any," Nicole said. "Your territorial claims? We haven't made any. Your trade agreements with the Varans? We're giving them supplies for free," Nicole said. "No trade necessary." Thessian stopped walking. "I do not understand. Your species spent significant resources to come here. You fought a battle that could have resulted in your destruction. You are now providing aid that will cost your world even more. What do you gain from this?" Nicole thought about how to explain it. Finally, she said, "Peace of mind. The knowledge that we did the right thing. Is that not enough?" "For most species, no," Thessian said. "The galaxy operates on exchange. Resources for resources. Territory for security. Help for obligation. Your species offers help and asks nothing in return. This is unusual." "Maybe the galaxy needs more unusual," Nicole replied. Later that day, Thessian met with Kilara and other Varan leaders. She listened to their accounts of the Krell attack and the human rescue. She reviewed data logs and medical records. She interviewed dozens of Varans and humans. That evening, she requested a private meeting with Nicole in the Phoenix's conference room. "I need to understand something," Thessian said. "Your world. Earth. What is it like?" Nicole pulled up images on the display. Earth appeared in all its blue and green glory. "It's home," Nicole said, "but it's also harsh. We call it a death world in galactic terms. Higher gravity than most inhabited planets. Extreme weather. Dangerous predators, poisonous plants, deadly microorganisms. Humans evolved in an environment that was constantly trying to kill us. Yet you survived," Thessian observed. "We did more than survive," Nicole said. "We learned to work together. We learned that cooperation was the only way to overcome the challenges we faced. We made mistakes. Terrible ones. But eventually we figured out that helping each other was not just moral. It was necessary." "And you apply this philosophy to other species?" Thessian asked. "We try," Nicole said. "We're not perfect. We have our own problems, our own conflicts. But when someone sends a distress call, we answer. That's who we are." Thessian was quiet for a long moment. Then she said, "The Krell Dominion has sent a formal complaint to the Council. They demand that humanity be sanctioned for interfering in their expansion. They want your ships removed from this system immediately." "What does the Council say?" Nicole asked. The council is divided, Thessian admitted. Some species admire what you have done. Others fear that you have set a dangerous precedent. If every young species starts interfering in established power dynamics, it could lead to chaos. Or it could lead to a better galaxy, Nicole said. Perhaps, Thessian said. I will be honest with you, Captain. I came here expecting to write a report condemning your actions. The law is clear about non-interference in regional conflicts. But I have seen what you have accomplished here. You saved millions of lives. You asked for nothing in return, and the Varans trust you completely. So what will you report? Nicole asked. The truth, Thessian said. And I will recommend that the Council reconsider its policies regarding distress calls. 3 days later, everything changed. Long-range sensors detected a massive fleet approaching the Varan system. Nicole's first thought was that the Krell had returned with reinforcements. But these were not Krell ships. Captain, I'm reading 43 vessels, Danny Harper reported from communications. Multiple species. I'm getting identifications now. Council ships, civilian transports, even some military escorts from species I've never seen before. What are they doing here? Greg asked. The answer came quickly. The ships were bringing aid. Medical supplies. Food. Construction equipment. Volunteers. Dozens of species had heard about what humanity had done, and they had decided to help too. One of the first ships to arrive was from a species called the Talvani. Their representative, a being named Kuros, met with Nicole. We heard what you did, Kuros said. How you answered the distress call when no one else would. It shamed us. We received the same call and did nothing. But you showed us that doing nothing is not acceptable. More ships arrived over the following days. Each brought resources and people willing to help rebuild the Varan homeworld. The Varans, who had thought themselves abandoned by the galaxy, now found themselves surrounded by support. But there was still the Krell problem. Commander Vaxor returned with a fleet of 15 warships. He expected to find the Varans vulnerable and the humans alone. Instead, he found 40 ships from a dozen different species. Vaxor's face appeared on the communication screen, and Nicole saw his shock. This system is under Krell claim, Vaxor said, but his voice lacked its earlier confidence. This system is under protection, Nicole replied. Not just ours. Look around you, Commander. The galaxy has decided that the Varans matter. You cannot defend them forever, Vaxor said. Maybe not, Nicole agreed. But we can defend them today. And tomorrow. And the day after that. For as long as it takes. Behind her, representatives from the other species appeared on the screen. Kuros of the Talvani, a Matharian admiral, a civilian leader from the Varane Collective. All of them standing together. The Krell Dominion will remember this, Vaxor warned. Good, Nicole said. Let them remember that there are species willing to stand up to them. Let them remember that conquest has consequences. Vaxor's fleet held position for 3 hours, then withdrew. They could not fight 40 ships, not when half of them were military vessels. The Krell had built their empire on fighting isolated, weak targets. This was neither. The Galactic Council convened an emergency session. Arbiter Thessian presented her report. She described what she had witnessed on the Varan homeworld. She explained how humanity's actions had inspired other species to help. The Council debated for days. Some species argued that humanity had violated protocols. Others argued that protocols meant nothing if they allowed genocide. Finally, a decision was reached. The Council would not sanction humanity. Instead, they would revise their policies on distress calls. Going forward, any species requesting help would be granted the right to receive it, regardless of political considerations. It was not a complete victory, but it was a start. Back on the Varan homeworld, reconstruction continued. With help from dozens of species, progress was rapid. Power grids were restored. Cities began to rebuild. The wounded healed. 3 months after the battle, Kalara met with Nicole one final time before the Phoenix departed. Our world owes yours a debt we can never repay, Kalara said. You don't owe us anything, Nicole replied. We did what anyone should do. But no one else did, Kalara pointed out. Only you. That makes it special. Kalara handed Nicole a data chip. This contains our formal request to join the Galactic Council. We want humanity to sponsor our application. Nicole took the chip carefully. We would be honored. We have also composed a message, Kalara said. We are sending it to every species in the galaxy. It tells our story. It tells how humanity saved us. We want everyone to know what your species did. That's not necessary, Nicole said. It is very necessary, Kalara insisted. The galaxy needs to know that there are still species who care about others, who will cross the void to help strangers, who will fight against overwhelming odds because it is right. The Phoenix left orbit a week later. As Nicole watched the Varan homeworld shrink on the view screen, she felt a sense of accomplishment. They had made a difference. They had saved millions of lives. But more than that, they had changed something fundamental in the galaxy. Back on Earth, Admiral Peter Collins reviewed reports from across the galaxy. Since the Varan incident, 3 more species had sent distress calls directly to Earth, not to the Council. To Earth, humanity's reputation had transformed overnight. They were no longer seen as naive newcomers. Now they were known as the species that answered distress calls, the species that helped without asking for anything in return. Some species called them idealistic fools, others called them dangerous radicals. But everyone agreed on one thing. Humans were different. Collins read the latest intelligence report about the Krell Dominion. Their expansion had slowed significantly. Other species were watching them more closely now. Some were even building defensive alliances, inspired by what had happened at the Varan homeworld. One species standing up for its principles had changed the calculation for everyone. 6 months later, Captain Nicole Stevens received new orders. Another distress call had been received, this time from a mining colony on the edge of known space. Pirates were attacking them. The Galactic Council had declared it an internal matter. Nicole read the orders and smiled. The Phoenix was being sent to respond, along with 5 other human ships. But this time, they would not be alone. 3 other species had volunteered to join the mission. The galaxy was learning. As the Phoenix prepared to depart, Nicole stood on the bridge and looked at her crew. They had been through a lot together. They had fought impossible odds and won. They had saved millions of lives. Ready for another one? She asked them. Greg Walsh grinned. Always. Ryan Brooks nodded. The engines are ready. Dr. Carter smiled. Medical bay is prepared. Jake Morrison's voice came over the intercom from the fighter bay. Squadron is ready to launch, Captain. Nicole sat in her command chair and gave the order. Take us out. The Phoenix left Earth orbit, heading toward another crisis, another group of people in need of help. Because that was what humans did. They answered distress calls, and now, thanks to their example, they were not the only ones. Somewhere in the galaxy, on a small colony world under attack, people looked to the stars and hoped. They had sent their distress call, not knowing if anyone would answer. But they had heard about humanity. They had heard about the Varans. They knew that in this vast, often cold galaxy, there was at least one species that cared. Help was coming. It always would be.